Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening in our community, and today will be no different. I think all of us would agree that we want to be able to live in communities where we can feel a sense of safety and security, and it's probably one of those things that we even consider to be a fundamental right. Well, those rights actually come with responsibility and accountability. And one of the ways that we can make that happen and ensure that everyone has an opportunity to do just that is by learning more about Community Watch and how it helps to protect your community. Ray Caldwell is the president of Huntsville Community Watch, and we're glad to have her here today. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. And Sergeant Jonathan Ware is a community resource officer with Huntsville Police Department. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
It's good to have both of you here today. And I think one of the first places to start is probably a place where a lot of people would not necessarily think we would start. And that's at the very beginning, because everyone assumes that they know what Community Watch is. But let's just talk about what is Community Watch.
Well, basically, Community Watch serves as an extra set of eyes and ears for the police department. You know, there are only a limited amount of police officers, but Huntsville has over, I think, 200,000 people, or
a little less, but I mean,
close
we're growing.
To it. And if we work together as a group in our neighborhoods, then we can certainly see a lot more than, say, a police officer coming into the neighborhood. So that's what Community Watch is all about, just serving as that extra set of eyes and ears for the police department. And if you do see something, make sure you say something about it. Let the police officers know so that they can either investigate it or know to be on the lookout for it when they do come through the neighborhoods.
And you know, one of the things a lot of people think too, and I'm sure you both have had this experience, people think that the thing that you really need to talk about is that you've seen is the big thing, you know, some big activity or some big event that took place. But you're really talking about perhaps even some of the smallest kinds of things. You're talking about suspicions of certain kinds of things. You're talking about responding to just general, basic, everyday observations that people can actually engage in.
Exactly. You know, sometimes because you live in your neighborhood, you might see something and know it's out of place, where an officer driving through the neighborhood may not recognize it as suspicious. So by you letting the officer know that that doesn't belong there, they can address it and take care of what could turn out to, or may have turned into, a huge problem.
And Sergeant Ware, I thought it'd be good to also help you give us a perspective on what community resource officers are, because you guys cover a pretty broad section of the community, but you have even fewer people in that role. So
yes, we do.
Talk a little bit about what you do.
We have approximately 6. We have 2 for each precinct, and then I'm the main supervisor who works out of the Public Service Center. We deal with everything from quality of life issues to helping other departments basically help the citizens in the city. Like if you have an issue with a dog, or you have bushes blocking a sign, if you have property that's becoming a rundown state, we can help fix that for your community. We also work closely with the Community Watch groups. We try to be the liaison back and forth, because they are a huge source of information for the police department. You know, if she's right, if we don't know something's out of place, they can tell us. They may not know that something's suspicious to us, and we may not know it's suspicious to them. And by passing back and forth that information, we help them out and help us out as well.
And so it's really about a partnership.
It really
is.
It's
a partnership between the Huntsville Police Department and the community,
right,
through a very important entity called Community Watch.
Yes.
And the opportunity of you being able to communicate with one another on these different issues, of course, is very important. Sergeant Ware, what does it mean to you as an officer with Huntsville Police Department and a community resource officer to have a Community Watch, and a pretty strong one, I think, here in the city of Huntsville?
We do have a really good, strong Community Watch. We have what I believe is a really good relationship. A lot of times they help us solve crimes, not only in their neighborhood, but maybe somebody ran through their neighborhood. Maybe they said, I don't know who this person was, the way that they ran through our neighborhood, something was going on, and it affects something that happened in a different part of the city. So, you know, it's a very important tool. You know, it's like Ray said, without Community Watch, we would be randomly going through your neighborhoods. We don't, and we want to be in your neighborhoods when we're the most effective. And Community Watch allows us to do that by saying, these things are happening at this time. So then we can be more selective in when we go to those neighborhoods to try to address the problems for the neighbors.
Yeah, and if you wanted to go through each community, you wouldn't have enough people to do that anyway.
Not effectively, not without Community Watch.
Sure, yeah, so just a great resource. So I'm living in Community X. I don't have a Community Watch group in my community. How do I get one started?
Well, the easiest way to do it is to call the precinct that you're in. For example, if you're in the North Precinct, you want to call the North Precinct CROs, and they will get your information, and then they will get in touch with us and let us know that you're interested. And we in turn will then contact you, and between what we'll do after that is set up a meeting time with the CROs so that we can come out to your group and we'll go over what it is we do exactly, what the organization can do for you, and we'll give you all of our list of do's and don'ts so that everybody stays out of trouble. And then we'll come out, and then you'll get your sign and saying that you have a Community Watch in your neighborhood. It's really that easy. And then actually doing Community Watch in your neighborhood is not that difficult at all.
Yeah, that was the second part of my question. So you got this traditional concept of Community Watch, and people kind of see somebody driving up and down the street about 2 o'clock at night, looking into yards and making sure everything is okay. I mean, is it a range of things that can happen in terms of how somebody does Community Watch?
Yes, the old school way of thinking was you put the sign on your car that says Community Watch, and you drive, and you take turns driving. You may have a block captain on this street, and he'll set when the times are that you're supposed to be doing your patrol. That's fine if that's what the neighborhood wants to do, but when you do that, you limit people in the neighborhoods, and a lot of people don't want to put those signs on their car, and a lot of people don't want to drive. I mean, if it's a smaller neighborhood, it may be easier to go out walking, and that's one way you can do Community Watch. If you're out walking and you see something, then you can report it. If you're walking your dog, you can report it if you see something. If you're taking your trash out, sitting in the window, sometimes people like to look out the window, or sitting on your porch. I mean, any number of those ways are doing Community Watch. People coming and going from work may see things. So you don't have to necessarily put the sign on your car to be a part of Community Watch or participate. Any way that you can see something and be able to report it, you're doing Community Watch. A lot of people are already doing it and don't realize that that's what they're doing. So it's that simple.
Yeah. You made a great point there, because a lot of people think about this very formal, rigid structure, and if I'm not part of the Community Watch group, I don't need to say anything. But the reality is that people see things all the time, and because they're not part of an official Community Watch group doesn't mean they can't say anything or shouldn't say anything.
Right.
And so your whole message across this conversation is, if you see something, say something. And anybody can be empowered to do that. We see kids as young as 3 and 4 calling 911 now, and having access to cellular equipment to be able to do that. And they know the very basic stuff about how to get help. And so it's never too early to start learning about how to take care of your community. And Sergeant Ware, I'm just wondering, you're talking about all of this opportunity to be able to patrol one's community and be conscientious about one's community. What are some of the cautions that you would give to people, perhaps? Because somebody might get out there and get a little more aggressive than they should. If you see something, they probably shouldn't intervene. They should probably reach out and I would assume call the police. So what are the limits of that process?
Community Watch has its own set of bylaws that govern their members' activities like that. But yeah, about being part of Community Watch doesn't make you a police officer. Right. It makes you eyes, it makes you an information source, it makes you a very important part, but it's not upon you to take action like that. So we would really caution people against becoming physically involved unless there is just no other option, available to them. Calling 911 is a quick fix. If you see anything suspicious, you can call the non-emergency number, which is 722-7100, or you can call 911. But yeah, we would highly caution anybody against becoming physically involved in something like that.
And I know you've been on an education process. I'm sure there's some cross responsibilities here regarding just helping people understand that there really are two opportunities to connect with the police. You want to save emergency situations for emergency situations.
Right.
That non-emergency number is a number that people should know just as much as the 911. Because when you call 911 for non-emergency things, what you're doing is you're tying up officers who may need to be involved in emergency situations. And so people really need to know that. We've got about 4 minutes left in the program. This has gone very fast. I've really appreciated all the information you've shared so far. But I did want to give a shout out to National Night Out, because that's a big annual event that's sort of a celebration of what Community Watch does and the partnership between HPD. Locally, it's a national thing, but that's an opportunity for people to really come out and celebrate the success of being responsible and accountable citizens. Talk about that just for a couple of minutes.
Well, it's October the 4th, I believe. It's the first Tuesday in October. And what we've started doing the last couple of years, we have several vendors to come out that have different safety products that they can show and let people know more about them, things that will help them make their homes safer. And we have a lot of activities for the kids, and most of the units in the police department come out so that you can see what it is they do. There's some units from the city, departments from the city that come out so people are able to interact with them and see what type of help they have to offer them in their neighborhoods. It's just a big, huge event, and there's free food, so.
It's always a winner.
Yes. So, and we try to have fun, but at the same time educate people about things that'll help their quality of life in their neighborhoods.
Yeah. I tell you, this partnership has gone on for so long, and I think it's something that people certainly appreciate, one that should certainly continue. It only gets stronger by people getting involved, so tell people how they can get connected to Community Watch. How can they reach out to you and find out more about this?
Just call your CROs in the particular precinct that you're in, and we will, as soon as they contact us and let us know that you're trying to get in touch with us, we'll reach out to them and offer them everything that we have and provide from Community Watch.
Yeah, so they won't be left alone. They'll have all the support that they need in order to be able to get this going. And I would imagine that once they get it started, they're not left alone either. I mean, they still have you as a resource, have HPD as a resource, that they can continue to develop their own brand of what they're doing in their community. And I would also imagine all neighborhoods don't need the same brand of community policing. As well. So you would kind of have to have that conversation as well, and people would determine that. I just wonder, I know, Ray, you've been at this a long time. I just wonder, have you had the chance to really sit back and assess what's happened over the time that you've been involved? And I want to ask, I know we're running out of time, but how did you get involved with Community Watch? And then have you seen success stories, like maybe communities or neighborhoods that have really turned around and become better communities because the residents took responsibility?
Well, I started like most groups start. There's crime in the neighborhood and you want to know what you can do, so you contact the police and then they suggest Community Watch for you, and then you go from there. And I've been involved, well, closely, I think about 15 years now, but that's why I got started. As far as success stories, we have some neighborhoods that have gone on for years. I mean, some of them still patrol, and they work so well with the police officers that they keep crime down. That's one little problem, hitch we seem to have. Sometimes things will get good and then people forget about Community Watch, and then crime slowly seeps back in. But those particular groups that have kept it going, they watch out for each other, they know their neighbors, they call when they see things, they stay on top of it. So those are our success stories, and we do have some of those.
Yeah, well, that's great news, and just great to know that such an opportunity exists. Again, I always say that living in a community involves more than just owning property or renting space. You really got to take responsibility for what's going on around you if you really want the kind of quality of life that everybody certainly deserves and everybody certainly desires. So I just want to thank you for being here today talking with us. She's Ray Caldwell, president of the Huntsville Community Watch Group. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Sergeant Jonathan Ware, thank you once again for being here and sharing all the great information as a community resource officer.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And come back and see us. We'd love to talk to you guys again.
Okay.
All right. Lots of good information, folks. I hope you took some notes, and we'll show you some information on the screen as well about how you can get in touch with your local CRO to start the process of Community Watch in your community. We also invite you to like our Facebook page, which is Impact with Kenny Anderson, which will have this video on it, as well as images behind the scenes. You know, once the camera stops rolling, we like to take some pictures as well. We hope that you have enjoyed the broadcast today, and we hope that you'll tune in for our next edition of Impact. In the meantime, I'm Kenny Anderson, and I hope that you have a great day.